Hey, what is up everyone? It's Ridge. Alright, welcome to a video on speed lines. I'll explain why. I posted like a detailed pic of this piece from Victor Bogdanovic, New Superman, issue number 4, page 5. $100. No, I'm not selling it. I mean, it is for sale, but that's not why I'm doing the video. Uh, yeah, a lot of people were asking about speed lines, and I was like, you know what, that would be actually kind of a cool video. I haven't done a technique video in a while. So speed lines are used to create energy bursts, and there's a lot of different ways to do them and to use them. I mean, sometimes, honestly, I just grab like a Tech Pen or a Copic multiliner, and I just need lines behind someone. I'm not saying that this... Well, like something like this area, you could do it as a dead weight line. It doesn't look like that I did. Maybe these. And then you kind of flick it at the end. I'll show how to do it. But, and then other times, you might use a Hunt 102 and do this. This was actually hard. I mean, it was fun, but it was definitely challenging. They were long enough where they were dangerous. There was enough stuff around them that they were dangerous. Danger zone. But no, what can end up happening is your crow quill can start to beat up ink on your straight edge, which is keeping the lines looking straight. And sometimes, I even use a French curve for this. If they're arced, you can do that. Now, there's also another way that I do them. I won't cover that today because I think the video would get too long. But you can actually do them with a brush. I mean, I have a comfortable angle, like my arc is like this way is probably the most comfortable way. Like for me to throw lines towards my left is a little more uncomfortable. But I can do speed lines like this with a brush and get a pretty nice effect. And then basically, depending on the viscosity of the ink, meaning like, is it flowing really fast or is it a little thicker, you can actually get some different techniques. If your ink is a little thicker and there's a little less of it on your brush, it can be more of a dry brush effect and it's more smudgy looking, which can be very cool. And then, when you want it really sharp, you're going to want, newer ink. Maybe a little tiny bit of water on your brush so that it just flows like, just grease lightning. Grease lightning. Yeah. And then what I did is I went in with white acrylic paint. And I don't think I had my ink of my white ink of choice at this point. This might have been Pro White. Anyway, so that's the effect that I got here, and a little thicker up here. I'm not I think sometimes I'm known for being like a pretty clean inker, but honestly, I like an organic quality to the work, and I think it's also less sort of mentally draining to like be okay with occasionally like that white line is thicker than these, and this is maybe not as nice as those. Some inkers get super duper anal about that and they want it all perfect, and that's fine. My personal choice is I'm hoping that the full piece looks kick-ass and that little anomalies like that aren't going to ultimately affect the quality of my work. I mean, there's definitely like Chris Bacalo, because he's worked with Tim Townsend for so long, I think is more conditioned to have like really, really flawless inks now. And, it makes it sort of like less fun for me to have to be that rigid. But again, Tim's personality is that he likes that. Alex Garner was like that early in his career. The stuff was very, very like on point. And I was not taught by Alex, but my first job was working for Alex Garner. So, I mean, I definitely got some of that in me. But, like I said, as I've moved along in my career, the choices that I've made are... I think this looks good enough, and there's plenty of battles that I fight on the page. Like for me, consistency all the way through a piece is very, very important. So when I ink a piece, my goal is to give like 110% the whole way through, and even kind of bear down in that last like hour or two when you really want something done. And, even try to make that maybe better than how you started, which not necessarily everyone does. I think some people get a little antsy for the piece to be done and start to rush a little bit. So, Okay, so this is an older Hunt 102 nib. I've been using this nib for a few weeks, and I know some people switch them more often. I would say like during the day right now I'm inking a guy named Travel Foreman. I just started. It's for Marvel, and we're doing Marvel Nights. And with travel stuff, it's like kind of 70% Copic multi-liners. He inks himself, I guess, with microns. But yeah, I'm using the Copic multi-liners and then my Koh-i-Noor tech pens, and he draws really, really tiny. I don't think I can really show the art right now. I haven't really worked for Marvel enough to know how they are about that. But anyway, for the really, really small stuff, I'm using this. And theoretically, I could even go to the blue one that's a little bit smaller than this. This is a 4 times 0 or 0.18, and the one that I call baby blue. I don't know if I have one here. Where's baby blue? Are you in my desk? I have they clog really bad, so I might not have one going right now. Oh, you know what? I did grab a new one. They'll bring it in. Let me see. Where's baby blue? Come on. Where are you? I know I brought one in. Oh, here. This one. So this is I nickname them all. But yeah, baby blue is 60.13. This pen, like if you look at it wrong, sorry, the autofocus is going to drive me nuts. I have to use my old phone to record these videos. Give me a sec. Because my new phone, it zooms in so much when I turn on the video camera, like the aspect ratio pulls in, and it's actually too tight to do these videos with the holder that I use for my camera. So anyway, so my ink right now is probably 95% ultra draw, and it's been sitting out all night. I threw a little tiny bit of water in it this morning, right before I did this video. So first we're just going to see what kind of flow we have, because I don't even know. All right, that's fun. Yeah, I leave my ink out all night. Okay, so and again, because this nib is older, it will probably not get the ends as sharp, but let me those are very close together, so it's a little hard to see. But here I'm pushing down very hard, and then I flick. Yeah, see, I'm gonna put a tiny bit of water on my Crowquill. So right now I'm just dipping my Crowquill in water, and then I'm gonna dip it in ink, and that actually will make it slicker. If worst case scenario, I'll pause this if this nib is actually too dead to do these, and put a new one in. But I think it'll be fine for the demonstration. But yeah, so there's a few lines. So see how nice those already look. And I'm just gonna wipe this off so I can ink on myself. So the inking triangle that I use is Staedtler Mars, made in China. I probably bought this at Blick. This was actually a pretty big triangle. I actually I took a X-Acto blade and actually made like a line where I wanted it and then cracked it. And I've been using this for probably at least 5 years. I had this at Wildstorm. And it has inking edges, meaning that these edges are beveled. So there's a piece that sticks out, and then an underbelly that keeps it off the paper, and then an underbelly here. But what will end up happening is as you're throwing lines, ink will beat up on this top line. And when you get too much, it will dip under, and then it smears, and you've got this really... obviously now you've got ink on your page, but lifting it up can be very difficult. And generally you kind of move to the left or the right, and it actually makes it worse. It's very difficult to pick it up like flat, and just lift it like that. So, yeah, you want to be very mindful of that. And I don't know if you can see it right now, but this ink is very, very wet still. So what happens is, we'll go back to this piece really quick. This can be pretty time consuming because of the fact that like it's not like you throw all those lines at once. You might do a section and then you kind of have to let it dry. Sometimes I'll work on another part of the page. That can be risky, I think, earlier on in your career because you might forget what's wet and not. You won't. You realize that you're like, oh, okay, I need to stay away from this, and so like it's not a problem for me to go and like start inking this girl down here, but I'm pretty good at knowing not to put my arm in a certain area. Like I've just conditioned myself not to do it. But even though a section is wet, you can sometimes drag your hand or a tool through it, or it bumps up against something to the side of your desk, and all of a sudden that wet ink has gotten smeared, and it sucks. I don't like mistakes on my pieces, so it always bothers me if I even have to put a little bit of whiteout down, besides the special effect. So, okay, I'm putting a little bit of water on my nib again, then I flick it off. I mean, what I do is, okay, so I dip it in water, and then I take it and I just go like this, and I kind of like do a stabbing motion and flick off the excess water, okay, and then I'm just dipping it in ink. I dip it into ink to just right about there, like lint on my finger. But yeah, so don't put too much ink, and then it sort of falls into that. All right, so now let's try a few more. Okay, so I'm pushing down hard here, and then I get lighter and do the flick. And look, that is really wet ink right there. Woo! Risky. All right, so I'm going to try to have these touch in a second. I'm just getting a feel for the nib and how it's going to flow. It's okay. It's a little dead. I probably will switch this one out today. I almost did yesterday, but I knew I wasn't going to be using it for anything but kind of like thicker exterior lines and like a little bit of hair, but not the fine stuff I had been doing with the other pens because of Travel's work is so tiny. Yeah, he draws really small. It's pretty funny. It looks nice though. Really, really good layouts. But look how pretty those look. And yeah, I did say pretty. Yeah, it's a really fun technique. Honestly, it will make your stuff look a little more professional. If you can do stuff like this and have it look as slick as this does, people are going to be impressed by it. There's like a small checklist of things that I know that if I put in art, people kind of ooh and ah over more than other things. Nice hair. If you can ink nice hair, that's always a big one. Any kind of cross hatching or fades, especially if they're stylish, depending on the direction of the lines that you put down. You can get kind of like these moire effects, meaning like sort of like almost like optical illusions going on. And those are really, really cool and something kind of fun to play with. It's just the direction of your hatch. I may pause this and then I can show you a little bit of that. This shouldn't really be a hatching video though. Okay, that one kind of messed up. You could see like that one went a little thicker there. But again, but if I'm doing as many speed lines that are on that other piece, to me, that's not a big deal because one, I know I'm probably going to go in and put a little like white splatter over it and like a few little stones or pieces of whatever. You kind of throw it in to, make it look more energetic, like a little Kirby crackle, whatever it is. Depends on your penciler. And even, okay, so when I wiped this off, I could actually feel that it was still a little tacky. So even though this is clean, it's just like old stains on it. There was a feeling of kind of like gooiness, not bad, like it wasn't gonna get on the page, but you want to make sure that you're wiping off your edge. I just have like a rag, and you want to make sure that that's clean. And another thing you can do, okay, so like I was mentioning, I've had this for a long time. I took sandpaper to this and a French curve recently, and just like very fine. I have it for guitars, kind of ran it over it because what happens is over time the nib will chew this up a little bit, and it actually worked quite well. I mean, I don't think you could do it a bunch of times, but if you've got one that maybe has like a little spur or a little plastic anomaly on it that makes your edge funky, you can try fine sandpaper and give it a little love. Yes, nib is a little too dull for these to get like the super. I'll switch it out really fast just so we can get. But again, I think that looks nice. And the technique is the same. It doesn't really like. And what's funny is, so when I say I'm getting a new nib, I'm getting a new old nib. I a lot of times when I use Crowquill nibs, I just throw them to the side and then come back to them later. Like, and it's not even like I'm not a cheapskate or anything like that. But I just find that like sometimes it depends on the day. Like you have a day or the nib isn't behaving and you think it's like a shitty nib, and some are, don't get me wrong. But a lot of times, like if they sit for a while and they've had a little bit of ink on them and then you go back to them, they can be nice. Usually I give them 2 chances. If the second time I come back to them they suck, then I just chuck it. But I know Scott Williams was saying that he has like 0 tolerance for tools that don't work for him now. And yeah, like the second something is acting funky, I'm just going to throw a couple lines real quick. Yeah, he's like out of there. He doesn't want to waste his time with it. But I mean, you can even see that kind of gets like a bit of a speed line effect. And again, I'm just kind of going with the arc of my hand. But, the thing is, I can do these with a brush and a lot longer. And they're very, very attractive looking lines. It's and then you throw a hatch through that, a nice fine hatch. Whoo! People are going to love your work. They will, too. That's not an exaggeration. And big and chunky is fun. I actually was kind of known for that when I was inking Buckle on Steampunk. The compliment I would always get is, God, this stuff is so ballsy. I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. Because I think up to that point, I had inked Travis right before that, so I was sort of more known for finesse. But again, I came from Alex Garner. Alex would put a pretty beefy and cartoony lines on his stuff. So I've been fortunate enough to, well, my misfortune has been my good fortune because I generally work on different people and have worked on a lot of different people. I've learned a lot of different inking techniques, and some stay with me and some don't. It depends on how much time it's been, but and then depending on how early it was in my career, how well I pulled it off. It's not like I'm not like such a badass that some styles really work well for me. But I've mentioned before, the stuff that I'm doing for comics right now, one of the reasons that I really kind of went off the grid for a while was because I really actually wanted to develop something new. And I'm not saying that it will be like something that no one has ever seen, but I mean, I'm really actually trying to come up with a combination of things that I really like that I'm not actually seeing in comics. That's not the reason that I'm doing it. It's a look that I have in my head that I want to see if I can bring to comics, and it's exciting, but it's challenging, but it's different. I mean, again, when people see it, I'm sure it will be compared to other things, but that's just the way it goes. I mean, anytime you're doing something new, meaning like you don't have a known brand identity, and I don't mean like Coca-Cola, but you know what I mean? Like, until people are really, really familiar with your work, generally it's going to get compared to someone else. They'll go, this reminds me of blah, 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 blah. And then just based on their sort of knowledge base of artists, that's kind of where they'll place you. But yep, these not too hard of a technique. I mean, it's definitely something that you can practice on, your own. You don't have to do it on a page initially. And then I'm gonna do one other thing really fast. I'll pull this away in just one sec. Those are okay. They're not great. This nib is worse than the other one. I'll grab a new nib. I've got them in here. I have so many different nibs. Here. I put them in a box. Sakura erasers? No, these are Hot 102s, baby. All right, let me grab one. This is interesting. It has a different base to it. That's funny. It's like, I don't know if you can see it, but it's actually kind of curved there. Usually they're flat there. Interesting, and we'll see how thick it is. Okay, so it needs a little tape. One of my hacks is like if your pen holder is a little loose, like when you stick a nib in, what I do is I take a tiny piece of artist tape. Like, I'll show you how small. It's super duper tiny. Hey, and I hope this is fun. I want to say hi to all my Patreon supporters and also my YouTube people that follow me on YouTube. Hope everyone is doing well. All right, so like about that big of a piece of tape, and then I kind of wrap it around it. But that's actually too much tape. So what I do at the very end is I rip it. I rip off like a little bit so it doesn't actually go all the way around it. And then it's even okay if you have a little bit that sort of is too long, because you can just sort of twist it. And then boom, thing fits snug as a bug in a rug. All right, let's see what this nib is up to. Oh, this is nice. Ooh, I haven't used a new nib in a while. Dang, sexy. All right, let's find some dry area. Oh, that was what I was going to do. All right, so let's try this. I'm going to put down a straight line and have that be my starting point. And why I'm doing that is kind of similar to on this piece. Some of the lines that I did were like on that panel border. That's a freaking nightmare. I mean, it's like, it's doable, but it's way more doable with pencil than it is with ink. I mean, you definitely run the risk of having like really, sorry, I zoomed it in too much. Yeah, you really run the risk of having like kind of ugly edges, and because there's speed lines in this panel too, like if I would have messed up and I had to put white out down there, that would have been really problematic if those lines hadn't been inked already, because then you're trying to ink over white, which is very, very difficult to do. That acrylic white, when it goes down, no matter what brand you use, isn't super black ink friendly. because it's kind of chalky paint. Oh, all right. So I was gonna put down a straight line, like a panel border was there, and we'll just do like a little row, and then I'll call this video a wrap. But if you're interested in Patreon, I have how many videos? I think I have 12 videos up right now that are unlisted. Some of them pretty long. Like there's definitely some videos that are 25 minutes, 35 minutes. The Frazetta video that I did where I break down his figure drawing is 37. I'm proud of that one just because I love Frank's work, and I haven't seen a lot of people really do like a critical breakdown of his figure drawing and poses and stuff like that. I'm definitely going to do another one because I found it interesting and kind of educational for myself. All right, so I'm just going to throw down a couple of pencil lines just so that I have a direction, just for fun. It keeps me a little more disciplined. I'm not going to put it down them all. I'm just going to be like, these are my target points. And essentially, I'm kind of pointing them towards a vanishing point. Oh, and, I was going to say this, too. I will start doing some penciling videos. I have a couple of ideas for some penciling videos that I'll start to break down here, but they'll be very isolated concepts, meaning that it'll generally cover one idea or one topic. But I think that the important reason to do that is that you understand that it's an important thing and it has your attention, So I think it's easy to try to take in all of drawing at once, and there's a process to it without overthinking it. Yeah, this nib is okay. It's not great, or it's tough sometimes with a brand new nib to do speed lines. I'm trying to keep these all pretty consistent. Yeah, it's like it's not holding a lot of ink. That's the problem. Is it's running out of ink about halfway through the line. Show that. And I haven't inked or warmed up yet today, so I'm not making excuses. I'm just saying that like I didn't do any like prelim stabs at this. So okay, so those are more like thick to thin, but not like super extreme. And usually the ends will vary, meaning that like I'm not trying to have them all end at the same exact point. What I would do is I would create an aesthetic pattern, meaning a pleasing pattern to the eye based on the shape. So like these might go down. I'll try to do it as I move through the next little section. This nib is, I'm not feeling it though. It just it needs to be older and have more dry ink on it so that it holds more. It's like super, like you can kind of hear it making that paper shredding noise. It's not my thing. All right. Oh, shoot. I need to switch nibs if I'm going to do this. I can't do it with this nib. It's too shreddy. Shreddy Betty. Let me grab one of those older nibs and try it. Bam. Should go back to the original one, but I don't know. Wait, let's see if this is it. Is this you? This might be you. All right, let's try you. This is your moment, nib. Your second chance at life. I don't know who you are, but be good. All right, what we got going on here? I was going to try to match that up. Let's just start from here. Yeah, this is way more buttery. Smooth. Way better. Isn't that funny? And this nib, who know? Like honestly, this pen nib that I put in, it could have inked dozens of pages. I have no idea. But they always get 1 second chance to come back and play. People say in life you don't get second chances. At my house, you do. I'm kind of pulling these closer together just to see if I can get a little bit of a different effect. They look nice, though. It's like always, it's hard for me to tell how it reads on the thing. Let me do autofocus to make sure that it's like zoomed in. And I apologize if this thing goes out of focus. That's the rub with this older camera is the autofocus. And even when I turn it off, it's actually worse. So I just have to pray that this video looks good. But yeah, the new camera just zooms in so close. You'd basically see like my thumb. That's it. It's so lame. I actually Googled it. It's a thing too. It's just I have a Galaxy S9 Plus Edge, and it's just the way it goes. Oh, and I joined up on Jim Lee's Discord in the miscellaneous section. So, I mentioned last night on Instagram that I there's a very high likelihood that I'm not going to be posting there anymore. I'm on the fence. I'm reporting some bootleg and like counterfeit things that are being sold on there, and like I don't know what it was, but like last night, man, Instagram was just loaded with like counterfeit stuff. It was so bad. I took screenshots of it all. I mean, it was. I counted like of my 25 top posts, like I just went down and I counted to 25, and I went back up and counted how many ads there were. There was 7 ads just in between my first 25 wall things, and almost all of them were like illegal stuff stolen from artists, and it really just annoyed me and reminded me of how a few years ago we had to fight this battle of people just going online and finding an attractive image and like slapping it on a shirt or a coffee mug or whatever it is and selling it. And the fact that Instagram doesn't police their ads and just sells ad space makes it even worse, because it's like, it's such a big platform, and if you don't say anything, then nothing happens and it doesn't change. So I had to stand up for that, and it's like, it's not even a personal thing. I mean, there was 2 pieces that were mine that I found that were just fan art. They were like it was just stuff that I had done, which is whatever. Like that wasn't what really bothered me, but it was the amount of stuff like that. That was really kind of shocking. So anyway, but I'm going to be playing around on Jim Lee's Discord, and I'll be streaming either here or on Twitch. So anyway, but that gives you a look at like speed lines, and we stayed pretty true to that edge there. And again, if I wanted to have had them thick like that, I mean, there's no difference of I could easily have had like a straight line there. So you just push harder and then start to lighten up your touch. So anyway, well, I hope that helps you with speed lines and gives you a little insight into them. And like try them out, and your work will look cool. It'll have a cool, speedy effect to it. And they're exciting. Like I said, you throw some Kirby Crackle and some of those on your page, and it looks like a comic book page. All right, please smash the like, share if you can, and check out my Patreon if you're into that kind of thing. For $1, it unlocks early access JPEGs, and you get. I'll manually send you the 12 video links. So if you do it in the middle of the night, you'll probably get them in the morning. But if you do it during the day, I send them right away. Okay, bye.